Now, if you told me a year ago that you could run Cyberpunk 2077 on a gaming tablet with just integrated graphics, about 60 frames per second on the highest graphical settings, I would have called you an idiot. But cut to 2025 and the Asus ROG Flow Z13 does exactly that. Now, this superpowered tablet just proved to me that gaming tablets as a concept are now viable and can give regular gaming laptops a run for their money. Before we get really hyped about this particular tablet, know that it is not cheap. At 174,995 in the Philippines, it's around the same price as a high-end gaming laptop. Now, high price aside, the 2025 ROG Flow Z13 represents a giant leap in technology for small form factor gaming, and I'm really excited to see where this technology leads us. Now, in a nutshell, the Asus ROG Flow Z13 is a gaming tablet with a 13.4 IPS panel that has a 2560 by 1600 resolution with a 180 Hz refresh rate and a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. It's not as compact as your usual Android tablet because it's quite thicker and heavier with the entire package plus charger coming in at 1.6 kilos, but it's not unmanageable. There's a good selection of ports around the chassis considering it's a tablet, and there's an integrated kickstand at the back that allows for multiple positions, including one that's nearly vertical. Unlike other ROG products, Asus decided to keep the RGB on this thing down to a minimum. Now, there's a tasteful LED strip at the rear and single zone RGB lighting on the keyboard. The keyboard works surprisingly well despite its fairly limited travel, and after I got used to it, really had no issues using it for just general productivity use and gaming. There's really one thing you have to keep in mind with gaming tablets, and that's the fact that before this, they all sucked. They were really not good. But this year, the ROG Flow Z13 comes with a secret ingredient, and that comes provided by AMD. Now, unlike other tablets before it, the 2025 model of the ROG Flow Z13 uses a powerful integrated graphics in the Ryzen AI Max Plus 3955 processor in the form of the AMD Radeon 8060S APU. Now, horrible name aside, this particular processor and APU outperforms recent Intel chips in benchmarks in both productivity and gaming. It is very impressive what AMD has managed to do with this chipset, and I am super duper excited to see what this thing can do if it's placed in a gaming handheld like the ROG Ally, for example. Just how good is this tablet in gaming? Well, in raw performance with Cyberpunk 2077, in medium without any help of upscaling, the tablet sits at around 56.6 average FPS on its native resolution. Now, drop the resolution down to 1200p and you'll be sitting on 90 frames per second on average. Now, if you don't mind getting help from AMD's FSR upscaling technology and frame generation, you can boost those frames even further. In Cyberpunk 2077, with ultra graphics present without ray tracing on, we got 97.8 FPS average on the laptop's native resolution with an astounding 153.4 FPS with 1200p. Now, to be fair, not all games have FSR 3.0 and frame generation to go with it, as the gaming landscape is still dominated by NVIDIA and DLSS. So realistically, you're stuck with FSR 2.0, which doesn't deliver as many frames as the 3.0 version. For more recently released games like Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which are all very graphically intense games, you're looking at sub 60 FPS values on medium settings with FSR 2.0 set on balance using the laptop's native resolution. To be fair, those two games are still fairly playable at those frame rates, and if you really want to get a smoother experience, you can always bump FSR to performance or ultra performance mode or reduce the resolution to 1200p. For games like Helldivers 2, you're sitting at 60 frames per second on average on native resolution and with FSR 2.0 on, with a small bump when you drop down to 1200p. Very playable and very smooth. Now, this tablet has a pretty nifty trick in that you can actually allocate how much VRAM goes into the integrated graphics. This means that if you get the 64 gig version, for example, you can theoretically give the GPU 32 gigs of memory or even more. This is pretty useful if you're processing AI workloads or if you want to do local installs of large language models like DeepSeek or anything else that requires a lot of VRAM. Now, gaming on the go is something we really don't recommend with the ROG Flow Z13, but it is possible with some caveats. For one thing, you won't be able to use the turbo setting on the tablet, which means you're going to take anywhere from 5 to 10% FPS hit since power limits will start kicking in. Now, for AAA games like Cyberpunk 2077, expect to get about an hour and 20 minutes of game time from the 70 watt-hour battery. Now, for less graphically intense games like Hades or Dead Cells, you can expect around 2 hours and 30 minutes of gaming with the power preset set on silent. Battery life with normal productivity apps or just browsing the web is pretty good. We recorded around 8 hours and 49 minutes on this particular tablet with a YouTube video just looping and seeing when it dies. If you're not gaming and just writing and doing reports, this tablet has all the endurance to get you through the workday, plus a little leftover when you get home. Now, because of the price, this tablet definitely isn't for everyone. But if you're someone who has space constraints at home and can't have a dedicated gaming desktop or gaming laptop, or just want a convenient small form factor tablet that can plug into their TV like a console, then this is for you. As for me, I'm just really excited to see where the technology goes, especially with the GPU and the APU moving forward, especially now that the ROG Ally or the next generation of the ROG Ally is just around the corner. So that is pretty much it for the 2025 version of the ROG Flow Z13. This thing is really good if you're looking for a small form factor gaming tablet that can take anywhere with you. You should actually take a look at this in stores. My name is John. Until the next video, peace out.